YouTube? This is Metalhead Weatherman. I hope you guys have had a good Saturday so far. As promised earlier from this morning's video, by the way, link to that will be in the top right corner. We will be talking about the severe weather threat that's going to be coming a little bit later into next week. So without further ado, let's get into it. But we're also going to take a little bit of a look at what's going on right now, because if you look right here, we have our severe weather threat for today that's going. We have a new tornado watch that just got issued not too long ago. And this is over towards the Gulf Coast states, mainly towards Alabama and Florida. There's some parts of Mississippi still involved as well, but worst of the severe weather will be moving out of that area momentarily. So we actually look at the storm reports today. I actually have 7 tornado reports. It's a pretty active day for fall, especially with the setup that hasn't been a trailblazer, so to speak. So that's saying a lot. I only could imagine what this storm system would have done if parameters were a little bit better, or if it was actually in season. Yikes. But anyway, that's what we have going there. We still have some ongoing tornado warnings, as indicated by these red little polygons right here. I know they're hard to see because we're zoomed so far out, but we still have some active severe weather going on, so stay safe in these areas tonight. So we'll go, but anyways, we're going to go ahead and jump all the way to the 4th of November here and take a look at our day 7 risk. It's very rare that they have this much confidence this early, but it's becoming more and more common during more extensive severe weather setups. But seems to me like this is definitely something that warrants attention for sure. So here we are, we're looking towards the synopsis on day 7. There's not a lot to really go off of just yet because of how far out we are. We've been talking about this, we've been talking about a storm system that will be coming into the country around maybe the evening of the 3rd, around Thursday, and then around the 4th it will probably set itself up around our region that we're discussing over here. So the areas that we're going to be talking about here, mainly going to be towards Abilene, Wichita Falls. We also have Oklahoma City and Norman involved in this as well. Fort Sill, Woodward, Lubbock, even Midland. We can't uninclude you guys because you are in this 15% area that we have right now. Now this area is, with as far out as this area is prone to shift anywhere from the east to the west by a little bit. So I'm still watching areas maybe just a little bit more towards the west of Dallas. I don't think Waco and Austin will be involved in this day's threat. Maybe in a future threat, we'll see what happens with that. But we may watch for areas a little further to the east of Oklahoma City as well. And we may not disinclude Amarillo or Fort Stockton as well. But let's go ahead and take a look at one of my favorite maps to look at, the vorticity map. This usually gives us a good idea of what our storm's potential is. So here we are right here. Little shortwave system that comes in before it. I'm not expecting too much out of that. But when we get to the 2nd, that's when our next big system starts to come in here. Really starts to get its act together in the late hours of Thursday and into Friday. And then interestingly enough, it starts to take that little neutral tilt here. Takes almost a neutral looking tilt here and may even try to go negative. Now it looks like, oh, wait a minute, looks like it is going negative here. That's interesting. So we'll have to watch and see what that does, but maybe over towards the eastern half of Texas as well, we may have to look for a threat here. Anywhere from this region, we'll have to see how things line up. But given the timing that the GFS is giving us right now, that's a little bit alarming. However, like I said, given the time and how far out we are, can't really latch onto this 100%. Because we've seen it, you guys have seen it if you've been on my channel enough. We'll see a run like this about a week or two out, and then it gets completely turned over on its head. So We'll have to see what happens with this. So we'll go up to about maybe 240 hours. And this is still a pretty robust looking system, but it's pretty warm based, so I'm not expecting any big snowstorms or anything to come out of this, but I am interested to see what this feature will do. And this is also towards my birthday too. But this feature here looks pretty intense as well, and it'll be interesting to see how things unfold with that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Euro as well. Euro's a little bit more out of date because we're on 12Z. 18Z doesn't really go out as far as we need it to, so let's go ahead and run this real quick. And it's actually got a very similar look to it as well, similar tilt. So towards the 5th and the 6th, I'm even more concerned about its severe weather threat. The 4th looks like a pretty interesting one, but I think if these storms get form up a little bit more tightly with where this upper level low is, we could have some real trouble on our hands here. We'll even go ahead and take a look at the low level jet for this as well. But there's actually some pretty considerable agreement here between the GFS and the Euro. Also see this little feature right here that's over towards the Bahamas here. We'll have to watch that as well. I don't think that's tropical at the moment, but that's definitely an interesting signal. And we'll probably talk about that tomorrow. So basically, I'm just going back to the GFS, make sure I have my info right here, but these two definitely look alike here. So that's definitely causing an increase in confidence, and that's probably even why they went ahead with the day 7 slight risk already. Because you don't see that often. You may see a day 4, day 5, maybe day 6, but when you have a day 7, that's usually meaning that there's a lot of confidence going on in Norman. Norman is where the Storm Prediction Center is. Can't help myself. I'm going to go ahead and look at this storm system here. Doesn't look quite as robust as this upcoming one, but it's definitely something that warrants attention here. And this is also around the time where we could be expecting a cold blast to come in, so I'm a little curious to see what happens with this. GFS doesn't have it really going quite as cold as it did a couple of days ago, so that's interesting. Another interesting thing that I've noticed here is this little feature that comes in behind it. And I'm wondering if that may take the place of that. I'm not entirely sure, but this looks a little bit crazy here. Pretty deep dig and trough from what I can see here. So, but you see how far we are. We're at the end of the model run, so this is one of those situations where we'll have to just watch and see what happens here. This is probably going to get turned on its head. So we'll go ahead and run this back to about 120 hours and get the radar up on the GFS. We'll do the same thing with the Euro in just a minute here, but I'm going to go ahead and actually take a look at the low level jet from the Euro's perspective, mainly because I'm traumatized with pivotal weather. Mainly it's my laptop's fault, to be honest, so let's just call it what it is. Anyway, here's a low level jet here. I forgot on it. This doesn't quite restart like the pivotal weather site does. So now that we're back onto here, so far I don't really see a lot here. And then on top of that, the one thing that's tricky about this is, well, I'm not getting any readings at all over in this region. So we're going to go ahead and just jump to the 4th here and see if there's anything I can go off of. So here's our upper level low here. I can't really pick up on anything. It does look like there's some low level moisture return here. It does look like there's going to be winds coming from the south, maybe the southwest, which is interesting. We'll just kind of have to see how it unfolds from that point as the storm system goes further and further out. It's strange how we're not getting any sort of readings over the western half of the country. That's so confusing. Maybe I might have to look at pivotal weather. I really don't want to, because we all know what tends to happen. Maybe I'll try the GFS after all, just to see if maybe things will get better with that, because I find that really weird. No, GFS is doing the exact same thing. Huh. That is really weird. Yeah, GFS is doing the exact same thing. Well, that's a bust right there then. So I guess we'll just go back and take a look at what the radar could look like. I don't think I'm going to be able to use pivotal weather because we all know what's going to happen there. I don't want to make a 30-minute video for you guys. It's probably already hitting about 10 minutes now, to be honest. Yep. Let's just go ahead and take a look at what things could look like over the next few days. I'm hoping that they fix that. So this is what we have going on with this upcoming storm system right here. And we'll kind of compare this with the Euro and just kind of go from that point. So here's our big storm system that's rolling in right now towards the 4th. And here's our severe weather threat. GFS has us a little bit further to the north and east than what the Storm Prediction Center is showing here, which I find interesting. And it's a little bit later in there as well. But this storm system does look like it kind of goes into that linear mode, but I think there is a potential for a QLCS within this region so far. Keep in mind we're of course 200 hours out at this point, so a lot can change with this. But interestingly enough, though, on the backside of this system here, it looks like there might be a little bit of potential for ice. I'm not going to read too far into this given how far out we are, and due to the fact that the 540 line's all the way up here. So, I mean, there's probably a layer of warm and cold air that's interacting with each other in such a way. But I'm not expecting big, a big thing to come out of this, to be honest. And then here's our next bomb cyclone that's coming in right here towards 300 hours out, but we're getting into no man's land here, as Mitch Westweather likes to call it. So that's pretty much how we have to treat this. We don't know what's going to happen here. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the Euro. I always like looking at the Euro in its full forecast only through pivotal weather, because that one shows because this version will show the frozen precipitation. You look on tropical tidbits, it doesn't really do that. So now we're waiting. Now that we're waiting for this to load, here we are. We'll jump up to about 96 hours out. Watch the first storm system roll in here. See if this will finish loading. There we go. So here's our next storm system here. Has the severe weather a little bit further to the north and more to the west on this, interestingly enough. And then here it is on the next day, right here in the early morning hours of the 5th, actually, more so than the 4th. So I think that maybe the Storm Prediction Center might move the area up a little further north by tomorrow's outlook. You still have time to make adjustments with it, but I'm kind of thinking that the concentration of severe weather is going to be a little bit different than what we're looking at right now. Here we are looking into Wednesday. This looks like a pretty robust line of storms, but it does look like it's starting to weaken a bit. The Euro doesn't really have much, has actually a little bit more cold air acting on the backside of this. 540 line is a bit closer, so this could lead to an interesting situation where we may even have an ice storm here. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and take a little sounding sample of this. So it looks like that the probability for this is still rain. There's no warm and cold layers that are really standing out to me here, but we'll have to see how this unfolds because we're getting pretty far into the model run here. As of right now, I'm gonna say you may see a little something here. I'm not entirely sold on this just yet, though, either. So I have to see how it goes. Looks like it gets a little bit more robust the further north we go. Maybe towards the UP of Michigan, you might want to watch out towards the 6th and maybe the 7th. But beyond that, it looks like this is also going to be a relatively fast moving system. So I don't expect a lot to really come out of this. And then that's the end of the model run. And it looks like that's it. That's really all I got for you guys right now for this system. I find that's really weird how the low level jet just wasn't popping up on that western half of the country here, and it really kind of messed things up for me trying to get a reading as to what's going on around that low pressure. Hopefully that'll get fixed up soon, and we'll try to go over it again as soon as it does. But until then, until that next video, I'm pretty sure I'll make one either tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. But we will have a video tomorrow. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I got. It's been Tire Metalhead Weatherman. If you liked what I did here, like, comment, subscribe, share the whole nine. I will see you guys in the next video.